Lie back comfortably. Let the surface beneath you carry your weight without effort. There is nothing you need to adjust anymore. Nothing that needs to be held in place. Your body already understands how to rest. Your shoulders can soften. Your jaw can loosen. Your hands can remain exactly where they are. Breathing happens on its own now. In and out. The room around you does not disappear. It simply becomes less important. Edges blur. Details fade. The quiet grows wider, wide enough to rest inside. Outside this calm space, far beyond walls and rooftops and clouds, the universe continues. It does not hurry. It does not announce itself. It moves so slowly on human scales. That motion feels like stillness. While you lie here in the dark, galaxies drift. Stars burn gently. Distances stretch by amounts so small they can only be measured across billions of years. Space itself expands. Not suddenly. Not forcefully. Just enough to notice if you wait long enough. You can let your breathing follow that pace. A calm inhale. A long, quiet exhale. As if your chest were rising and falling in time with the universe itself. With each breath, the weight of the day settles deeper into the mattress. Thoughts no longer need to line up. They do not need to make sense. They can float. They can wander. They can thin out, like mist dissolving under distant starlight. Some of the light reaching Earth tonight began its journey long before human memory, before cities, before language, before the first careful fire was carried across a dark plain. Tiny packets of energy slipped free from distant stars and moved outward in all directions. They crossed empty regions between galaxies. They curved gently around massive clusters. They stretched as space expanded beneath them. And only now, after billions of years, they arrive, quietly, brushing the upper atmosphere, touching mirrors of telescopes, passing unnoticed through the night sky above you. They bring no message, no instruction, only quiet proof that somewhere unimaginably far away, a star once shone. As you rest, invisible matter moves through the space around you. Through there, through walls, through the earth itself, through your body. Dark matter does not glow. It does not scatter light. We know it is there only because galaxies spin faster than they should, because light bends where nothing visible seems to exist, because enormous structures hold together when ordinary matter is not enough. It is not something to fear. It is more like a slow current in a deep cosmic ocean, always present, never touching, holding entire galaxies in gentle, silent balance. Inside stars, pressure rises and falls in patient waves. Hot plasma shifts. Layers lift and sink. These motions create vibrations, not sound as human ears know it, but rhythms written into light. Every star carries its own quiet pattern, its own steady pulse. The sun, if it could be heard directly, would ring like a vast, distant bell. Low, stable, endless. A calm oscillation threaded through brightness. Between galaxies lie regions so empty that even temperature becomes faint. Just a few degrees above absolute zero. And yet even there, the universe is not silent. Ancient radiation drifts everywhere. The cooled echo of a time when everything was closer, hotter, brighter. Background glow. Soft. Uniform. Almost tender. It passes through planets and people alike. Through oceans and stone. Through sleep and waking. a reminder that the cosmos once burned everywhere and has been cooling patiently ever since. The Earth turns beneath you, steadily, without pause. The moon slides along its wide orbit, pulling gently on oceans, stirring tides, stretching water just enough to create rhythm. That same pull reaches into your body, into the water within cells. Subtle, harmless, unnoticed. Everything participates. Nothing resists. The sun carries its planets in a long, gentle spiral through the Milky Way, and the Milky Way itself moves among countless others. No still point, only slow pass, wide arcs, curves traced across space and time so gradually they feel like rest. You are part of this motion, not watching from the outside, not separate from it. You are carried within it, the way a grain of sand rests inside a calm, endless sea. You do not need to understand any of this. You do not need to hold its scale in your mind. You can rest inside the feeling alone. Vast, quiet, unrushed. Breathing continues, in and out. Time begins to feel less sharp now. Minutes loosen their edges. Seconds stretch. Past and future soften until only this gentle present remains. Far beyond ordinary sight, black holes drift through galaxies. They do not roam or hunt. They simply exist. Matter falls inward only when it passes too close. Even these dense regions of gravity are not eternal. Over unimaginable spans of time, they release faint energy, slowly losing mass, quietly fading back into the background of space. Nothing in the universe clings forever. Everything relaxes eventually. You can relax too. Neutrinos stream through the planet in endless numbers, born in stellar cores, released in distant explosions. They pass through oceans and mountains as though nothing were there, through cities, through forests, through you, trillions each second. Unnoticed, uninterrupted, a cosmic rain that never stops falling and never causes harm. You are not fragile within this vastness. You are perfectly placed, held by gravity, warmed by a star at exactly the right distance, wrapped in an atmosphere thin enough for light, thick enough for breath. Above the clouds, Earth glows faintly, sunlight reflected from oceans, ice catching pale brightness at the poles. Storm systems swirling slowly, their arms stretching across continents. Seen from far away, the planet looks calm, blue, whole, quiet. Time moves differently on these scales. Mountains rise and wear away. Seas open and close. Continents drift at the speed fingernails grow. Species appear, change, fade, all unfolding so gradually that the planet itself seems to be dreaming. Even atoms are not still. Electrons blur into clouds of possibility. Particles flicker in and out of existence. Empty space hums softly with energy too small to notice, too constant to disturb. Reality breathes, not loudly, like a distant field beneath everything else. You do not need to pay attention. It all continues whether you think about it or not. Breathing continues, in and out. You can allow the sound of these words to drift further into the background now. They no longer need to guide. They can simply exist, like distant starlight, present but easy to ignore. The universe does not mind if you fall asleep here. Nothing important will be missed. And the slow, quiet motion continues. Breathing continues, in and out. The universe does not pause when attention fades. It has never relied on being noticed. Stars formed before there were eyes. Light traveled before there were names for it. Motion existed long before there was thought. And still, everything found its place. Far in the past, space was closer, warmer, more tightly held. Matter and energy moved together like a single, glowing fabric. Nothing rushed. Nothing separated sharply. Everything simply was. As expansion continued, that fabric relaxed. Distances opened gently. Structures appeared not through force, but through patience. The same patience exists here. In the way your body rests. In the way breath arrives without being summoned. In the way awareness can soften without effort. You do not need to go anywhere. You are already inside the motion. Light from distant galaxies grows dimmer with time, not because it weakens, but because space itself stretches beneath it. Wavelengths lengthen, energy thins, brightness becomes gentler. The universe cools slowly, the way a long-burning fire settles into embers. Not suddenly, not completely, just enough to bring calm. You are allowed to cool too. Muscles easing, thoughts loosening, the sense of edges becoming less defined. Inside the Milky Way, clouds of gas drift quietly. Gravity gathers them little by little. Pressure builds over millions of years. Heat rises patiently, and eventually, without announcement, a star begins to shine. It does not celebrate its beginning. It simply glows. For millions or billions of years, it releases light steadily, without intention, without strain. You do not need to produce anything tonight. You do not need to glow or perform. You are allowed to exist in a stable, resting state. Some stars burn quickly and brightly. Others burn slowly, conserving their fuel. Small red stars, steady and dim, will shine long after larger ones fade. They remind a universe that endurance is quiet, that longevity belongs to the gentle. Gravity holds everything together without effort. Galaxies keep their shape. Planets remain in their paths. You remain supported by the surface beneath you. No tension required. No awareness needed. Deep within the earth, heat moves upward from the core. Rock flows, not like water, but like something patient enough to move across millions of years. Continents drift. Mountains rise and soften again. The ground beneath you has never been still. And yet, here and now, it is steady enough to allow sleep. Above the planet, the moon continues its quiet orbit, pulling gently on oceans, stirring tides, creating rhythm where water meets gravity. That same pull reaches into your body, into the water within cells. So subtle it cannot be felt. So constant it does not disturb. Everything responds. Nothing resists. In regions where matter is dense, time itself slows slightly. Moments stretch. Processes take longer. Clocks would tick differently there. Time is not rigid. It bends. It relaxes. It adapts to mass and motion. Here, now, time is wide enough to hold rest. At the smallest scales, particles do not behave like solid points. They exist as probabilities, as soft presences, as clouds rather than objects. Matter is not rigid at its core. It is gentle, uncertain, flexible. The solidity you feel is a balance, a long-standing agreement between forces that allows you to lie here safely. Even empty space is not empty. Fields fluctuate. Energy appears briefly then dissolves again. A constant, quiet activity beneath everything else. This is not noise. It is texture. A background hum too soft to disturb. You can let your awareness sink into that background now. Into the idea that beneath all motion there is steadiness. Beneath all change there is continuity. The universe does not rush toward its future. It drifts. Stars will eventually exhaust their fuel. Galaxies will thin and dim. Black holes will slowly lose mass. Even the most stable particles may fade given enough time. The far future is not dramatic. It is calm, sparse, quiet. A universe with fewer events, more space, less brightness. There is comfort in knowing that everything moves toward rest. Your own rest now mirrors that distant direction. A small stillness within an immense stillness. Thoughts may appear less frequently. When they do, they can pass without comment. Like faint meteors burning up high above the atmosphere. Brief, unimportant, gone. There is no need to follow them. They dissolve on their own when left alone. Breathing continues, in and out, each breath slightly slower, each exhale carrying less weight. Somewhere, hydrogen atoms merge quietly in stellar cores. Elsewhere, heavy elements drift through space, waiting to be gathered again. Creation and dispersal happen together. Always balanced, always unhurried. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is late. You are exactly where this moment allows you to be. The night does not expect anything from you. Neither does the universe. You can rest deeper now. Let awareness thin further. Let the sound of these words become part of the background, like ancient radiation present everywhere and asking for nothing. If sleep arrives, it is welcome. If it takes time, that is fine too. The universe has always had time. Breathing continues, in and out, and everything else continues quietly with you. Breathing continues, in and out. Nothing needs to be followed anymore. The words can slow. They can stretch. They can become less distinct, like distant stars fading at the edge of vision. The universe does not move in straight lines. Everything curves gently. Light bends, paths arc. Even time flows along wide, patient contours. Nothing sharp exists at this scale. Only softness. Only gradual change. Long streams of gas drift between stars. Cold, thin, almost invisible. They move slowly, guided by gravity, taking millions of years to cross distances that seem small on maps and enormous in reality. Within these clouds, atoms meet rarely. Collisions are gentle. There is no urgency, only the quiet possibility that someday, far in the future, a new star might begin. Possibility does not hurry. It waits. You can wait too. Without expectation, without effort, your body continues its own quiet processes. Heart beating, blood flowing, cells exchanging signals. All of it happening without your attention. This is how the universe prefers to work. Silently, automatically, without instruction. Above the atmosphere, charged particles from the sun drift outward. The solar wind moves past planets, past dust, past darkness. Most of it never touches anything. It simply flows, like breath released into open space. Earth is wrapped in a magnetic field, a soft, invisible shield. It bends those particles gently aside, guiding them toward the poles, where they sometimes paint the sky with slow, shimmering light. Even that light is not hurried. It drifts. It waves. It fades. Everything fades eventually. And fading is not disappearance. It is rest. In the deep future, long after stars have finished burning, their remnants will continue to orbit silently. White dwarfs cooling, neutron stars spinning ever more slowly, black holes dissolving grain by grain into faint radiation. Time will be so wide then that change itself will feel optional. The universe will not be empty. It will be spacious, filled with long pauses, filled with silence that does not press. You are allowed to feel that spaciousness now. You are allowed to borrow a small portion of that future quiet and let it settle here. Thoughts may drift by slower now, less defined. They do not need to be pushed away. They naturally lose momentum when nothing feeds them. Like waves flattening after the wind dies down. Breathing continues, in and out. The sound of your breath is older than language, older than memory. Every living thing that has ever existed has shared this rhythm. Expansion, release. The universe itself follows it. Expanding, cooling, letting go. There is no final destination, only ongoing gentleness. Far beyond the limits of sight, regions of space are already beyond reach. Their light will never arrive, not because of distance, but because expansion carries them away faster than time can bridge. They exist without relation to us, quietly, completely, and that separation is peaceful. It means there is room for everything to be without crowding, without friction. Here, in this small pocket of space, you are safe, supported, contained. Nothing from the vastness presses inward. Nothing demands response. The night holds steady. The planet turns. The stars continue their slow drift. You do not need to remain awake for any of it. Breathing continues, in and out. Awareness can thin further now. Edges dissolve. The distinction between thought and silence becomes less clear. Words lose importance. Meaning softens. Only rhythm remains, like a slow orbit, like a distant pulse, like the background hum that has always existed and always will. You can rest inside that hum. You can let it carry you without knowing where it goes. There is nowhere you need to arrive. The universe is patient. The night is wide, and sleep is already very close. Breathing continues, in and out. The night has no corners now, no edges that need to be traced. Everything feels rounded, smoothed by time, as if awareness itself has been gently polished by repetition. The universe has repeated itself endlessly. Atoms forming, separating, forming again. Patterns rising, holding for a while, then relaxing back into space. Nothing is lost. Nothing is wasted. Everything simply changes its pace. Far from here, dust grains drift through interstellar space. Tiny, cold, barely moving. Some will wander for millions of years before touching anything at all. Eventually, a few will meet. They will cling lightly. Others will join. And over vast spans of time, something larger will emerge. Not through force, through patience. The universe builds slowly because it has no deadline. You do not have one either. Your body settles further now. The places where you meet the surface beneath you feel less defined. As if boundaries are becoming optional. As if support no longer needs to be noticed in order to be real. Gravity does not ask whether you believe in it. It simply holds, just as rest does. Above the planet, satellites drift silently. Tiny constructions of metal and glass moving along predictable paths. They do not hum. They do not speak. They simply orbit. Even technology, when placed in space, learns stillness. Signals travel between stars as radio waves. They thin as they spread. They soften. They dissolve into background noise. Everything that tries to announce itself eventually becomes quiet. Silence is not the absence of activity. It is the absence of urgency. Between heartbeats, There is a pause. Between breaths, a small, still space. The universe is made mostly of those pauses. Stars shine, but most of space is dark. Galaxies exist, but most of the cosmos is empty. And that emptiness is not barren. It is restful. You can let your attention sink into that rest now. Not focusing, not drifting deliberately, just allowing awareness to loosen its shape. Time continues to widen. Moments stretch into one another. The sense of sequence fades. There is no before, no after. Only a long, gentle now. Somewhere in the universe, two particles become briefly entangled. Their states linked across distance. When one changes, the other responds. Not as a signal, not as a message, as correlation. Connection does not require communication. It simply exists. You are connected to the planet, to the star that warms it, to the slow turning of the galaxy. Nothing needs to be maintained. The connections hold themselves. Breathing continues, in and out. Your breathing is quieter now, less noticeable, like the universe's own background glow, present everywhere, demanding nothing. In the far future, even memory will fade, not as loss, but as completion. Events will no longer echo. They will have settled fully into the structure of space. The universe will not remember itself, and it will not need to. Rest does not require memory. You can rest without remembering anything, without planning, without carrying stories forward. Just this softness, just this dimming of effort. The night is doing its work. Slowly, gently. If awareness flickers, it flickers briefly. If thoughts appear, they are light and thin. Nothing stays long now. Breathing continues, in and out. You do not need to listen to the next words. They are already fading as they arrive, like light stretched thin across an expanding universe. Meaning dissolves. Only cadence remains. A calm rise, quiet fall. The universe breathes. You breathe. And sleep is no longer approaching. It is already here. Breathing continues, in and out. There is less to notice now, less to distinguish. The space between sensations grows wider, like the distance between stars when the universe becomes older and more relaxed. The mind no longer needs to name anything. Naming belongs to daylight, to movement, to edges. Night allows things to exist without labels. The universe does the same. It does not assign meaning. It does not separate important from unimportant. It simply allows. Far away, in the quiet outskirts of galaxies, stars orbit slowly, taking hundreds of millions of years to complete a single path. No one watches them. No one counts the time. And still, the motion remains precise, gentle, unchanging. Precision does not require urgency. Stability does not require effort. Your body understands this. Muscles release not because you command them to, but because there is no longer a reason to hold. The nervous system softens. Signals slow. Awareness drifts inward, like a tide turning quietly toward the open sea. Even the concept of distance begins to blur. Near and far lose their sharp difference. Everything feels equally present, equally distant. The universe contains places where nothing has happened for billions of years. No star has formed. No particle has collided. Only slow drift, only silence. Those places are not waiting. They are complete as they are. You do not need to fill the quiet either. Silence is not empty. It is full of rest. Breathing continues, in and out. The sound of breath merges with the imagined sound of space itself. Not silence is absence, but silence is balance. A steady field, a calm background. Somewhere, a photon passes between galaxies, alone, carrying no destination, no urgency. It will keep moving until something gently receives it, or until the universe grows so wide that motion itself loses meaning. There is no hurry for that to happen. Time stretches so far that beginnings and endings become indistinguishable. And here, in this small moment, the same thing happens. The beginning of rest and the depth of sleep are no longer separate. They blend. Your awareness thins further now, like light dimming not because it is being extinguished, but because it is spreading out. Thoughts dissolve before they fully form. Images soften before they sharpen. Nothing completes itself. And that feels right. The universe does not complete itself either. It simply continues at a pace so slow it feels like stillness. Breathing continues, in and out. If there is a sense of floating now, it does not need to be examined. If there is heaviness, it does not need explanation. Both are natural. Both belong. The surface beneath you and the space above you are no longer opposites. Both are part of the same structure. Both hold you in different ways. Gravity below, vastness above. You rest between them, perfectly balanced. There is nothing more to add, nothing to take away. The night remains wide. The universe remains patient. And sleep continues, deepening quietly on its own. Breathing continues, in and out. The night stretches without resistance. There is no sense of distance to cross anymore. No direction that matters. Only the feeling of being held inside something very large and very calm. The universe has always preferred slowness. Rapid events are rare. Brief exceptions. Most of existence unfolds at a pace that barely registers. Atoms drift. Fields fluctuate. Structures evolve so gradually that change feels like rest. You are aligned with that pace now. Far beyond the visible edge of the galaxy, space grows thin and quiet. Stars become sparse. Light becomes faint. Motion slows until it feels symbolic rather than real. In those regions, a single atom might travel for millions of years without encountering anything else. No collision. No interaction. Just steady presence. That kind of solitude is not loneliness. It is completion. You can allow yourself to feel complete in this moment too. Nothing missing. Nothing required. Your breathing remains gentle, in and out. The body has begun to speak in slower signals. Heart rhythm steady. Muscles relaxed. Temperature regulated without conscious input. The systems that keep you alive have taken over fully. They do not need supervision. They have been doing this since before memory. Just as stars fuse elements without thought, your body maintains itself without instruction. There is deep intelligence in that, an ancient competence. Long before humans existed, the universe learned how to organize itself. From simple particles to complex structures. From energy to matter. From chaos to patterns that last. You are one of those patterns. Temporary, stable, perfectly ordinary, and completely rare at the same time. The universe holds both truths easily. Breathing continues, in and out. As time expands outward, the future becomes quieter. Fewer stars are born. Fewer events occur. Energy spreads thin across wider and wider space. Eventually, there will be long eras where nothing dramatic happens at all. No explosions, no formations, only gradual cooling, only presence. That future is not empty. It is peaceful. And you are tasting a small echo of it now. Awareness becomes soft around the edges. Thoughts no longer arrive fully formed. They dissolve halfway, like words spoken too quietly to be understood. That is fine. Understanding is not needed here. The night is not a problem to solve. It is a condition to rest within. Breathing continues, in and out. Somewhere far away, a planet orbits the dim red star. Its days are long. Its light is faint. Its sky never truly bright. If anything rests there, it rests slowly, under a gentle glow that never changes much. Stillness can sustain life. Slowness can support complexity. You are supported now by the same principle. Nothing presses. Nothing pulls. The distinction between inside and outside becomes less important. Air moves in. Air moves out. Boundaries soften. You are not contained. You are included. Included in the turning of the planet. Included in the orbit of the moon. Included in the long path the sun traces through the galaxy. All of it happening without awareness. Breathing continues, in and out. The universe does not keep records. It does not store memories. It carries only structure and motion. When something ends, its effects remain, spread thin, woven into what comes next. Nothing is truly lost. It is simply redistributed. This can be comforting. There is no pressure to preserve. No need to remember perfectly. Rest does not require memory. Your mind is free to let go of sequences, narratives of cause and effect. There is only sensation fading into quiet. The sound of these words is now very distant. Not gone, just less distinct. Like background radiation, present everywhere, but no longer noticed. Breathing continues, in and out. The night deepens, not darker, deeper, like water becoming still far below the surface. If there is any remaining tension, it loosens on its own, not because you release it, but because it no longer serves a purpose. The universe has no use for unnecessary strain. Neither do you. Time keeps widening. Moments blur together. There is no reason to separate one breath from the next. They are the same breath, repeating gently, in and out. Everything that needs to happen is already happening, and nothing else is required. Breathing continues, in and out. There is no sense of progression anymore. No feeling that something is moving forward. Only the feeling of remaining, of staying gently suspended inside a long, quiet moment. The universe is very good at remaining. Most of what exists does not rush toward anything. It simply persists, changing so slowly that change itself becomes background. Between the stars, dust drifts, not falling, not rising, just sharing space with time. Each grain follows a path shaped by forces too weak to feel dramatic, too steady to ever stop. Those paths cross and separate again and again without consequence. You can let your thoughts behave the same way. They may pass through awareness, touch lightly, then drift away. No need to engage. No need to finish them. Breathing continues, in and out. The body is now resting in a deeper pattern. Muscles remain loose without instruction. breath finds its own depth. The heartbeat becomes a distant rhythm, steady, reliable, no longer asking to be noticed. This rhythm is older than memory, older than language. It belongs to biology, to chemistry, to physics. The same principles that guide stars guide cells. Energy flows along gradients. Systems seek balance. Excess dissipates. Stability returns. Nothing about this requires thought. Far away, a galaxy slowly rotates, taking hundreds of millions of years to complete a single turn. Its stars follow curved paths, held gently by gravity and by nothing else. No walls, no anchors, just mutual influence spread across vast distance. That is enough. You are held in the same way, by forces that do not grip, do not squeeze, do not demand. They simply remain. Breathing continues, in and out. As awareness thins further, the idea of location softens. Here and there are no longer distinct. The room, the planet, the sky feel equally distant. Not because you are leaving them, but because attention is no longer dividing space. The universe does not divide space either. It allows it to be continuous, smooth, without sharp borders. Even objects are mostly space. Atoms separated by distance. Particles existing as probabilities. Solidity is an agreement, not a rule. You can rest inside that idea, that nothing is as rigid as it appears. That support can be gentle and still complete. Breathing continues, in and out. Somewhere far beyond this galaxy, light is passing through regions that have never contained stars. No planets, no structures, just expansion, stretching wavelengths, cooling energy. That light does not complain. It does not resist. It changes shape and continues. You are allowed to change shape too. Not physically, but inwardly. Attention spreading out. Identity becoming less sharp. The sense of self softening into something wider, quieter. Nothing is lost in that softening. Only tension. The universe has been softening since it began. Cooling. Expanding. Letting go of density. It has never rushed this process. Breathing continues, in and out. The future stretches so far that words stop being useful. Trillions of years pass. Stars fade. Galaxies thin. Black holes dissolve. Eventually, there are no bright events left. Only long pauses. Only low energy states. Not darkness, but calm. A universe without pressure. That future is not approaching. It is simply existing somewhere along the same continuum as this moment. You are touching the same quality now. A low-pressure state. A quiet configuration. Awareness barely holds together. And that is exactly right. Thoughts no longer arrive as sentences. They arrive as fragments, as sensations, as faint impressions. And even those are beginning to fade. Breathing continues, in and out. The sound of these words is very distant now, almost indistinguishable from silence. They are no longer instructions. They are no longer information. They are just rhythm, like a slow orbit, like tidal motion, like background radiation that fills all of space without being noticed. You can stop listening at any point. Nothing changes. The universe does not keep track of who is awake. The night holds everything equally. Breathing continues, in and out. There is nothing more to reach, nothing more to settle. Rest has already arrived and continues on its own, without guidance, without words. And everything remains exactly as it should be. Breathing continues, in and out. The sense of needing more words begins to dissolve now. Not because the words stop, but because they blend into the same texture as everything else. The universe is not made of moments. It is made of durations. Long stretches where nothing demands change. Quiet intervals where existence simply rests inside itself. Most of cosmic history has been like this. No sudden beginnings. No clear endings. Just slow rearrangements, so gentle they feel like stillness. You are resting inside one of those intervals now. Far beyond the orbit of the moon, beyond the reach of familiar satellites, space becomes thinner. Radiation weakens. Particles grow sparse. Yet even there, nothing feels empty. There is always background, always presence. The universe does not create voids. It creates openness. Openness is not absence. It is allowance. You can allow yourself to be open now. Not thinking, not waiting, just present without shape. Breathing continues, in and out. Long ago, before the first stars formed, the universe was filled with uniform light. No points, no sources. Brightness everywhere at once. As expansion continued, that light stretched and cooled, becoming softer, becoming quieter, until it turned into the faint background glow that still fills space today. That ancient light passes through you now, through the room, through the earth. You do not feel it. You do not need to. It has been here longer than sensation. The body understands this kind of presence. It responds by settling deeper, by lowering effort, by trusting the environment. Sleep is not a shutdown. It is a return to an older mode of being. A mode shared by animals, by plants, by systems that do not worry about awareness. Breathing continues, in and out. Somewhere in the galaxy, a star is reaching the end of its long life. Its fuel slowly depleted. Its pressure easing. It does not collapse suddenly. It adjusts. It releases layers gently. It changes form over spans of time that feel endless. Change does not require violence. Completion does not require force. You are allowed to complete this day in the same way. Gradually, without announcement. The distinction between one breath and the next is now very small. They blend into a continuous motion, like waves that no longer rise sharply, only swell and settle. The universe breathes like this too. Expansion slowing, energy dispersing, everything becoming more evenly spread. Even the concept of direction loses importance. Forward and backward are ideas that belong to motion with urgency. Here, there is only continuation. Breathing continues, in and out. Your awareness may feel wide now, or very narrow, or not located anywhere at all. All of these are signs that effort has faded. The brain, no longer tasked with scanning or solving, begins to shift its rhythms. Slower waves, longer cycles. This is not something you do. It happens when conditions are calm enough. The universe has been calm enough for a very long time. Between galaxies, there are regions where nothing will ever happen again. No star will form. No planet will gather. Energy is too thin. Matter too sparse. Those regions are not unfinished. They are complete. Completion does not always look like fullness. Sometimes it looks like rest. You are allowed to rest completely now, without maintaining awareness, without keeping track. Breathing continues, in and out. The sound of these words has no edge anymore. It arrives and dissolves before it fully forms. Meaning is optional now. Attention is optional. The universe does not require comprehension. It has existed perfectly well without it. Night does the same. If there is a sense of sinking, it is gentle. If there is a sense of floating, it is stable. There is no falling, no lifting, only balance. Breathing continues, in and out. Time stretches so wide that this moment is no longer distinguishable from the one before it. Memory loosens. Expectation dissolves. There is nothing ahead, nothing behind, just this soft, ongoing presence. The universe remains vast. The night remains quiet. And you remain exactly where you need to be, held within it, as sleep deepens on its own. Breathing continues, in and out. There is almost nothing left to notice now. The space between breaths is wide and comfortable. The body no longer listens for meaning. It simply rests. The universe does not mark endings. It allows things to grow quiet until they no longer need names. Stars fade this way. Not suddenly. Not dramatically. They shine a little less, then a little less again, until light becomes memory, and memory becomes background. Everything knows how to finish by softening. You are doing that now. Thoughts have thinned to the point where they no longer form. They are just warmth, just ease, just a sense of being supported without effort. The night holds you the same way space holds galaxies. Without pressure. Without instruction. Breathing continues, in and out. Far in the future, long after stars are gone, the universe will still exist in a quiet, patient state. No urgency. No questions. Just duration. That future is peaceful because nothing needs to happen. And right now, nothing needs to happen for you either. Sleep does not require permission. It arrives when everything else steps aside. You can let go of listening now. Let go of following. Let go of holding awareness together. The universe continues whether you are awake or dreaming. These words do not need to go with you. They can remain here, slowly dissolving into the same silence that fills the spaces between stars. Breathing continues, in and out. Good night.